Some called it impossible, until they stepped on stage. These are the most shredded physiques ever, and you won't believe number 10, Kai Greene's shredded condition. Didn't come from genetics or luck. It came from a life that pushed him harder than any training program ever could. When people look at Kai on stage, veins exploding, muscles looking like they were carved with a blade, they see a masterpiece, but they don't see the darkness that shaped it. Kai grew up in a world where he had to fight just to exist, bouncing through the foster system, learning early that nobody was coming to save him. And yet in that chaos he found iron, cold, unforgiving, and honest. The gym became the first place where effort meant something, where his past didn't define him, and where every rep rewrote a little of his story. As he built himself piece by piece, Kai didn't just train, he escaped. His legendary conditioning, that comic book come-to-life look, wasn't crafted in a comfortable life. It was sculpted through hunger, through isolation, through days when he pushed himself because stopping meant slipping back into a life he refused to return to. His skin would tighten until it looked impossibly thin, revealing fibers and striations that shocked the world. But behind that freakish detail was struggle most people can't imagine. Fans see the shredded, almost surreal physique, but what they're really seeing is discipline forged through pain. For Kai, every cut and every vein tells the truth. Number 9. Shawn Clarida's shredded condition is the kind that makes people stare twice, because it doesn't look real, it looks engineered. At 5'2", every ounce of muscle on his frame has nowhere to hide. So when he diets down, he doesn't just get lean, he becomes carved. Stage lights hit him, and suddenly every fiber, every line, every separation jumps out like a roadmap of sacrifice. His midsection comes in razor sharp. His quads fire with deep 3D cuts, and his back looks like it's made of striated armor plates. Shawn doesn't just show conditioning, he weaponizes it. While other athletes hope to come in peeled, he arrives looking like the fat was vacuum sealed off his body, leaving only grainy, hard, freakishly detailed muscle behind. That's the power of Shawn Clarida. He doesn't overwhelm you with size. He overwhelms you with precision, density, and a level of shredded that makes even the biggest men on stage look soft. His condition isn't just impressive, it's shocking. Shawn Clarida's story is proof that height means nothing when heart takes over. Standing at just 5'2", he walked into a sport dominated by giants and refused to shrink in their shadow. Instead, he built a physique so dense, so brutally shredded, so unbelievably complete that the world had no choice but to notice. People told him he'd never make it in bodybuilding, that he was too small, too limited, but Shawn used every doubt like fuel poured onto a fire. He trained with a chip on his shoulder and a purpose in his chest, carving out muscle that looked almost impossible for his frame. When he steps on stage, he doesn't just compete, he shocks people, coming in with granite-hard conditioning, skin-tight detail, and a presence that defies everything they thought they knew about size. Shawn Clarida became the giant killer, not because he beat bigger men, but because he proved that greatness isn't measured in inches. It's measured in will, discipline. Number 8. Bob Paris's conditioning was the kind that made people stop and stare, because it perfectly blended artistry with brutality. Every muscle was defined with razor-sharp clarity, yet nothing looked out of place. His physique flowed like a masterpiece, with striations cutting deep but still harmonizing with his symmetrical frame. When he stepped on stage, his chest, shoulders, and arms were etched with a density that looked almost impossible. While his abs were so tight and dry they seemed sculpted from marble. Even at his peak, Bob didn't rely on sheer size to dominate. His shredded condition was precision itself, lean to the extreme, with every fiber and vein visible, a visual proof of years of discipline. dieting, and relentless work. He didn't just show muscle, he revealed what the human body could become when aesthetics, discipline, and conditioning reached absolute perfection. Bob Paris wasn't just an American bodybuilder, he was the embodiment of classical perfection in a sport, obsessed with extremes. While others chased mass, Bob carved a physique that looked like it stepped out of a sculpture hall. Wide shoulders, flawless symmetry, deep lines. Number 7, Labrada wasn't just a bodybuilder. He was the definition of precision, aesthetics, and relentless discipline. From the moment he stepped into the gym, he approached training like an artist shaping a masterpiece, never chasing size for its own sake, but sculpting a body that looked perfect. From every angle, on stage, Lee's conditioning was unreal. Skin tight, muscles carved, and lines so clean they could have been etched with a chisel. His chest, arms, and legs weren't just muscular. They were perfectly balanced, flowing together in a way that made his physique timeless. But what truly set him apart was his mindset. Lee overcame obstacles, criticism, and the pressure of a sport obsessed with mass, proving that greatness isn't just built in the gym, it's built in discipline, vision, and an unshakable drive to perfect the craft. When you look at Lee Labrada, you don't just see a bodybuilder, you see the human body at its most harmonious, shredded and awe-inspiring. Lee Labrada didn't just step on stage, he commanded it. Every inch of his body was carved with surgical precision, a combination of brutal discipline and artistry that left competitors and fans alike in awe. Standing against giants, he didn't need sheer size. His shredded condition did all the talking. Veins snaked across his arms, chest and shoulders sliced with razor-sharp detail. Number 6. Kevin Levrone wasn't just a bodybuilder, he was a force of nature. When he stepped on stage, he didn't just compete. He dominated with a presence so electrifying it left audiences speechless. His physique was a masterclass in size, symmetry, and density. But what truly set him apart was his conditioning. Muscles layered like steel, veins ripping through his arms and chest, quads shredded to perfection, and abs carved so deep they seemed sculpted from stone. Every pose, every flex radiated power and precision, a testament to decades of relentless work. Brutal training sessions and an unshakable will. Kevin's body wasn't just built, it was engineered, honed to perfection, and shredded in a way that turned him into a legend. To see him on stage was to witness what happens when genetics, discipline, and pure determination collide, creating a physique that wasn't just admired, it was feared, respected, and remembered forever. Kevin Levrone's shredded condition was nothing short of freakish. Muscle, so dense and skin so tight that every fiber, every vein, every cut looked unreal. His chest split with deep striations, arms veined and popping like coiled steel, and abs carved with surgical precision that seemed almost impossible for a man of his size. Even his legs were masterpieces of separation and detail, quads and hamstrings etched like a sculptor's finest work. Levrone didn't just get lean, he became a walking demonstration of human potential, a shredded machine that combined mass.
Sergio Oliva's shredded condition was nothing short of legendary. Muscles, so full, thick, and perfectly separated that every pose looked like it was carved from stone. His chest split with deep three-dimensional striations, shoulders and arms so dense and vascular they seemed to defy the limits of human anatomy, and a midsection so tight and dry that his abs looked sculpted into the very core of his physique. Even his legs were masterpieces. With quads and hamstrings cut so cleanly, they gave the illusion of movement even at rest. Sergio didn't just get lean, he became a living testament to what happens when size, symmetry, and conditioning are pushed to the absolute extreme. His shredded look wasn't just impressive, it was intimidating, almost mythical. the kind of conditioning that makes everyone else on stage look soft by comparison. Sergio Oliva, known as the Myth, wasn't just a bodybuilder, he was a phenomenon that redefined what the human body could achieve. From the moment he stepped on stage, his physique struck fear and awe into every competitor. Massive, dense muscles flowing with perfect symmetry, shoulders that seemed impossibly broad, and a chest and arms carved like armor. But it wasn't just size. It was his shredded conditioning that left people stunned. Every line, every separation, every vein stood out with razor-sharp clarity, showing off a body that was both a work of art and a weapon. Sergio didn't follow the rules of bodybuilding. He rewrote them, proving that size, symmetry.
Number 4. Shawn Ray's shredded condition was nothing short of perfection. Every muscle on his frame was razor-sharp and flawlessly defined, with striations cutting deep across his chest, arms, and legs. His midsection was carved so tight and dry that every abby popped with surgical precision, while his quads and hamstrings showed separation that seemed almost impossible for his size. Even at peak stage weight, his conditioning left no detail hidden. Every vein, every line, every fiber visible under the lights. Shawn didn't just come in lean. He arrived like a living blueprint of what a perfectly conditioned human body could look like. His physique wasn't just impressive, it was intimidating. A masterclass in aesthetics, symmetry, and shredded detail that set the standard for generations to follow. Shawn Ray wasn't just a bodybuilder. He was the embodiment of precision, balance, and relentless work ethic. Standing on stage, he didn't rely on sheer size to impress. He sculpted a physique that was flawless from every angle, with symmetry so perfect it became his signature. But what truly set Shawn apart was his conditioning. His muscles were carved with razor-sharp detail, striations and separations visible in every pose, abs so tight they seemed impossibly deep, and veins cutting across his arms and legs like a roadmap of discipline. Shawn didn't just look shredded, he looked engineered, a machine built with an artist's eye and a warrior's dedication. Every time he flexed.
Number 3. Flex Wheeler's shredded condition was nothing short of phenomenal. Muscles carved with surgical precision, veins visible across his chest, arms, and legs, and striations so deep they looked almost unreal. His midsection was razor-sharp, abs popping with perfection, while his quads and hamstrings displayed separation and detail that made every pose a masterpiece. Even his back, often a challenge for bodybuilders to showcase fully, was dense, dry, and sharply defined, a testament to years of relentless training and perfect conditioning. Flex didn't just come in lean, he arrived like a human sculpture, a freak of symmetry and detail that made him look larger than life. His shredded physique wasn't just impressive, it was intimidating, almost surreal, and a standard that set him apart as one of the greatest conditioned athletes the sport has ever seen. Flex Wheeler wasn't just a bodybuilder, he was the living definition of perfection in motion. Every time he stepped on stage, his physique told a story of artistry, discipline, and genetic blessing pushed to the absolute limit. His shoulders, chest, arms, and legs flowed together in a harmony few could ever achieve. And his conditioning was next level. Veins snaking across his body, striations cutting deep, and muscles so dry and separated it looked almost unreal.
Number 2. Dexter Jackson, known as the Blade, wasn't just a bodybuilder, he was a master of precision and longevity. On stage, his physique cut through the lights with razor-sharp detail. Every muscle perfectly separated, every vein visible, and a symmetry that seemed engineered. But what truly set Dexter apart was his conditioning. Shredded, dry and dense to an almost unbelievable degree, with abs carved like stone, quads and hamstrings etched with surgical perfection, and a back so detailed it looked like armor. Dexter didn't rely on sheer mass to dominate. Number 1, Frank Zane wasn't just a bodybuilder. He was the embodiment of aesthetics, precision and balance, unlike the mass monsters of his era. Zane sculpted a physique that looked like it belonged in a gallery. Perfectly proportioned, lean, and flowing with symmetry that seemed impossible. But his conditioning was what truly set him apart. Razor-sharp abs, striated chest and arms, and legs and shoulders, defined with a level of detail that made every pose look like a work of art. Frank didn't just get shredded, he perfected the art of shreddedness, turning discipline, diet, and training into a human sculpture. On stage, he didn't just compete, he mesmerized, proving that conditioning, harmony, and elegance could dominate a sport obsessed with size. Frank Zane's shredded condition was the gold standard of aesthetics and precision. Every muscle on his frame was carved with surgical detail.